Welcome to Wisdom and Wealth, a channel dedicated to exploring the timeless principles of wisdom and their practical application to living a fulfilling and prosperous life. For those of us over 40, we've likely accumulated a lot of life experience, and perhaps we're now seeking deeper understanding and a greater sense of peace. Today, we'll delve into a powerful concept from Zen and Buddhist teachings: how to stop fighting your emotions and finally find inner peace. It's a journey of understanding and acceptance, a path to transforming your relationship with yourself. If you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing so you don't miss new content to inspire you to live a more peaceful and wise life. Every human being, regardless of age or background, carries an internal world, a landscape where thoughts and feelings constantly arise. Imagine it as an invisible battlefield within the mind. Thoughts emerge, emotions stir, and physical sensations ripple across the body, creating an internal conflict. One part of ourselves yearns for joy, peace, and stability, a sense of groundedness we often seek, especially as we navigate the complexities of midlife. Yet, another part of us trembles with fear, burns with anger, or sinks into sadness, echoes of past experiences and anxieties about the future. This internal battle is not fought with external weapons, but with something far more insidious: resistance. We fight ourselves, our own experiences, creating a cycle of struggle and suffering. The most common advice we hear throughout our lives, passed down through generations, is to control your emotions. Don't let them rule you, we're told. Maintain a stiff upper lip. But in the very pursuit of control, a paradoxical reality is born. The attempt to dominate our feelings leads to struggle, tension, and repression. The more we try to cage our emotions, the stronger they seem to roar. The more we try to silence the waves of the mind, the higher they crash against the shores of our awareness. Think about a time when you tried to suppress a feeling. Did it truly disappear, or did it fester and eventually explode? It's a familiar pattern, and one that often leaves us feeling even more overwhelmed. As Zen teaching beautifully states, when the mind stops grasping, the river flows clear. This simple phrase is a key to understanding why fighting emotions never leads to lasting peace. When the grasping, the resisting, the pushing away ceases, emotions begin to lose their power, their claws. What remains then is clarity, freedom, and a new kind of strength, a resilient strength that comes not from suppressing our feelings, but from finding harmony within them. If you are finding value in today's content, please give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing. It really helps the channel grow, and supports our ability to produce more content. This strength does not originate from suppression, but from a profound sense of harmony. So, what truly happens when you stop fighting your emotions? It's not a single word answer, nor a quick fix that can be offered. It is a gradual unfolding, a transformation that subtly shifts how life is experienced from its very core, a profound reshaping. Let's journey into this deeper understanding, starting with the very nature of emotions. Remember, emotions are simply energy in motion. They rise, linger for a moment, and then naturally pass away. Fear, anger, sadness, joy, desire, they all move like clouds across the sky. None are permanent. None remain forever. The core of the problem arises when the mind mistakenly identifies emotions with its own sense of self. Instead of seeing sadness as a passing cloud, one begins to say, "I am sad." Instead of simply noticing anger as a fleeting spark, one declares, "I am angry." By incorrectly fusing identity with temporary energy, the natural flow of emotions becomes blocked. When resistance arises, the emotional energy gets trapped, stagnant, and often amplified. Imagine a clear stream flowing freely down a mountain. Now, imagine stones being thrown into the stream. The water is disturbed, chaotic whirls appear, and the flow becomes turbulent. The more stones of resistance that are thrown in, the stronger the turbulence grows. This is precisely how fighting emotions works. It interrupts the natural course. Buddhist insight emphasizes impermanence, the fundamental truth that all conditioned things arise and eventually pass away. To truly see this is to discover profound freedom. Sadness is not permanent. Anger is not permanent. Even joy, in its purest form, is not permanent. By seeing emotions as temporary states, we no longer fear them. Fighting is no longer a necessary reaction. Why does fighting fail? Why does resisting our emotions only deepen our suffering? Firstly, resistance actually amplifies emotional energy. When anger arises, and we tell ourselves, "I must not feel this," the mind locks onto the anger. Instead of allowing it to release naturally, we inadvertently multiply it. Secondly, repression creates shadows. When emotions are denied, they do not simply vanish. They sink into the unconscious mind, waiting to erupt later with even greater force, often at the most inopportune moments. Thirdly, judgment strengthens the mistaken sense of identity. When emotions are labeled as bad or weak, shame becomes attached to them. We begin to feel broken, unworthy, or incomplete, perpetuating a cycle of self-criticism. If you enjoy this video so far, please consider liking or subscribing to my channel. By taking these small steps, you'll make it so you can continue to receive notifications and reminders whenever new content from my channel is uploaded. The paradox becomes clear: the very effort to destroy emotions only serves to make them stronger. Zen masters often compare emotions to echoes. If one shouts into the mountains, echoes return. The more one shouts at emotions, the more echoes come back, often multiplied and even louder. Silence, acceptance, and non-resistance dissolve the echo. The turning point, then, is acceptance. When the fighting ends, true acceptance begins. Acceptance doesn't mean blind indulgence. It doesn't mean sinking into your emotions thoughtlessly. Acceptance simply means recognizing emotions as they are, without judgment, without denial, and without clinging to them. It's sitting with sadness and acknowledging, "This is sadness. It is passing through me." It's breathing with anger and recognizing, "This is anger. It arises, and it will fade." It's watching fear and acknowledging, "This is fear. It moves through my body like a wind." Acceptance is akin to opening a hand that has been tightly clenched around a stone for far too long. The moment the hand relaxes, the stone drops naturally. The same process happens with emotions. The grip of resistance is what holds them in place. Release the grip, and they move naturally. A Buddhist teaching states that, pain is certain, but suffering is optional. Pain is the natural arising of emotions. Suffering is our resistance to them. Acceptance dissolves the suffering. Now, let's consider the silent transformation. What happens when one truly stops fighting emotions? Firstly, calm arises naturally. The storm loses its intensity when the winds of resistance subside. Secondly, clarity blossoms. Emotions are seen clearly, like ripples on water. Wisdom is born from direct observation. Thirdly, compassion grows. By understanding one's own emotions, empathy for the emotions of others naturally deepens. Lastly, consider subscribing to my channel. By subscribing to my channel, you can easily share content with your friends, and we can all work together to create a better world. The final result is freedom from the mistaken sense of identity. You no longer say, "I am my anger," or "I am my fear." Instead, you experience emotions without being enslaved by them. This transformation is silent, gradual, and profound. It's like a lotus slowly opening in the morning sun. Nothing dramatic, yet everything subtly changes. Imagine a mirror standing in a quiet room. People come and go. Faces appear, reflecting expressions of joy, sorrow, or anger. The mirror reflects all without clinging, without rejecting, and without distortion. This is the core teaching of Zen regarding emotions: be the mirror. Let anger appear, reflect it. Let sadness appear, reflect it. Let joy appear, reflect it. Don't chase, don't reject, don't hold on. The mirror remains clear and unmoved. The wisdom here is not cold detachment, but luminous awareness. Emotions are not denied. They are welcomed, seen, and ultimately released. Remember, philosophy remains incomplete until it is lived. Zen insists on practice. What can we do in our daily lives to stop fighting our emotions? The first is breath awareness. When emotions arise, place your attention on your breath. Let the rhythm of inhalation and exhalation ground your body. The second is naming emotions without owning them. Say, "This is sadness," instead of, "I am sad." Language reshapes our sense of identity. The third is body observation. Emotions often manifest as physical sensations, tightness, heat, trembling. Observe these sensations without judgment. Lastly, silent sitting. Take moments daily to simply sit in silence. Let whatever arises move freely, without any interference. Through these practices, we train the mind to flow with emotions instead of battling against them. When non-resistance matures, emotions no longer appear as enemies. They become valuable teachers. Anger teaches us about boundaries. Fear teaches us caution and humility. Sadness teaches us depth and compassion. Joy teaches us gratitude. Each emotion carries hidden wisdom beneath its waves. By fighting, we miss the teaching. By allowing, we learn. As the Buddha once taught, the mind is like a fire. If fed, it burns. If understood, it warms. Understanding our emotions transforms fire from destruction to warmth. Imagine living without an inner war. Emotions arise, flow, and pass without resistance. Life becomes lighter, smoother, and more vibrant. Constant tension dissolves. This doesn't mean that emotions will stop arising. Joy, sadness, anger, fear, they will continue to appear. The difference lies in our relationship to them. Instead of being a prisoner, we become a witness. Instead of a fighter, we become a dancer, moving with the rhythm of our minds. The greatest strength lies not in conquering emotions, but in befriending them. What happens when you finally stop fighting your emotions? You discover that the peace you sought was never outside of you. It was always hidden beneath the resistance. The strength you yearned for was never in suppression, but in acceptance. The wisdom you craved was never in rejection, but in observation. The battle ends. The river flows. The mirror reflects. The lotus opens. This is the Zen way. This is the Buddhist way. When you stop fighting your emotions, you stop wounding yourself. The cage opens, the chains fall, and the natural rhythm of life is finally restored. Every emotion becomes a passing guest, not a tyrant. You remain the host, calm, clear, and compassionate. This teaching is not a distant philosophy. It is an invitation for this very breath, this very moment. Sit quietly. Watch your mind. Let emotions rise and fade. Do not fight. Do not cling. Simply witness. In this simple act, the greatest transformation unfolds. When we begin to see emotions not as enemies but as natural visitors, an entirely new relationship with our inner world unfolds. This allows the wisdom of Zen and Buddhist insight to deepen, not simply about calming the storm of anger or soothing the waves of sadness, but about awakening to the truth: emotions were never the problem. Resistance was. For much of our lives, we've been taught to control our emotions. The idea sounds noble, but control often turns into suppression. We try to hold back tears, swallow anger, and bury fear. On the surface, it may seem successful, yet inside the buried fire smolders. The teaching here is clear: control is an illusion. Emotions are not wild beasts that can be tamed through chains. They are waves of energy. Trying to fight them is like standing on the shore commanding the ocean not to crash. The ocean will not listen, and the one shouting will only become exhausted. True mastery comes not from force but from harmony. Stopping the fight does not mean becoming careless. It means cultivating awareness so refined that every emotion is met with understanding. When fear arises, awareness asks, "What is this fear teaching me?" When anger rises, awareness listens. What boundary was crossed? When sadness deepens, awareness whispers, "What truth is seeking expression?" Through awareness, emotions stop being enemies and become our guides. Each one points toward a lesson, a truth, or a hidden need. Awareness is the doorway through which emotions become wisdom. Remember, every emotion is temporary. Joy sparkles for a while and then fades. Grief weighs down the heart and then lifts. Fear grips tightly and then loosens its hold. We often forget this truth and say, "I will always feel this way." That belief creates despair. But when we remember impermanence, despair dissolves. We can whisper in the depth of sadness, "This too shall pass." Freedom lies not in escaping our emotions, but in realizing they cannot remain forever. As resistance ends within, compassion blooms outward. One who understands their own pain, fear, and anger can see the same in others without judgment. When a friend is angry, the compassionate person sees not just the harsh words, but the suffering beneath. When someone is afraid, compassion sees not weakness, but a cry for safety. Stopping the fight with our own emotions makes it possible to stop fighting the emotions of others. The world becomes softer, relationships deeper. Compassion for self opens the heart to compassion for all beings. Strength is often mistaken for toughness, hiding emotions, never bending, never showing weakness. But true strength is the courage to feel without drowning, to allow without clinging, to witness without judgment. A tree that resists the wind breaks. A tree that bends with the wind survives. So too with our emotions. By bending, flowing, and yielding, we show greater strength than any rigid resistance could ever offer. Zen reminds us that emotions, though powerful, are not the ultimate truth of who we are. Beneath anger, beneath fear, beneath joy itself, there is a still, spacious awareness untouched by change. Like the sky that remains while clouds come and go, awareness remains while emotions rise and fade. To rest in that awareness is to taste liberation. Our emotions are passing clouds. Our awareness is the sky. Living these teachings, to stop fighting our emotions, is not a one-time realization. It is a practice. Each day offers new opportunities. When irritation arises in conversation, breathe and witness. When sadness visits in solitude, sit gently with it. When joy bubbles, savor it without clinging. Every moment becomes training. Every emotion becomes a teacher. The path is walked step by step, moment by moment, breath by breath. What happens when you stop fighting your emotions? You end the war within. You discover that peace was always available, hidden beneath your resistance. You find strength not in armor, but in openness. You find compassion not in judgment, but in shared humanity. And finally, you discover that beyond all passing waves of emotion lies a boundless ocean of awareness, still, clear, and infinite. This is the essence of Zen. This is the liberation of Buddhist insight. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Simply click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see next. See you in the next video.